It is turning into one heck of a weekend here in Northeast Indiana sports. Welcome to a special live edition of the Sports Rush. I am Brett Rump. Adam Lundy is going to be joining us here in just a couple of minutes, but we also are going to be joined later in the show by Purdue Fort Wayne men's basketball coach John Coffman. You know, tomorrow is the official first day of practice. And that has kind of lost its luster a little bit, because now teams practice pretty much year round. They've been practicing. They just a month or two ago had an inter-squad scrimmage. So the one thing, though, from a coach's standpoint is you now get the players' full attention. This is no longer just some off-season workouts. This is the season starting tomorrow. We'll talk to Coach Coffman about what he thinks about this group now that he's had 3-4 months to be able to work with these guys. And we'll talk a little bit about the schedule, because the last time Coach Coffman was here, the schedule wasn't, quote, official. In fact, I think we leaked a couple of games. Maybe we were or weren't supposed to. And nobody got in trouble for it. But if you were listening, you probably got some information you couldn't have gotten anywhere else, which is what really this show is about. We tried to leak all the information that we're supposed to be keeping secret. No, I'm kidding. But what a weekend. How about it? You got IU just absolutely smacking Illinois all over the place. That wasn't even a game. All the hype, all the energy, all the excitement for the big stage, national TV audience. And, quite honestly, you could have, for either side, you could have left at halftime and seen enough of that one. And then today, not only did the Colts improve to 3-0, and they took the show on the road, which was the question, could they have the same kind of performance, the same kind of offensive efficiency on the road that they've been having at home? That was no problem. They put up 41 points against Tennessee. But the Fever, they take on the mighty Las Vegas Aces, who had won, I think the number was 18 of 19 games or 19 of 20 games. They've been the hottest team in the league, and the Fever have a 1-0 lead over the Las Vegas Aces because they got the win in game 1 today, and it wasn't even close. I'll tell you what, let's talk about this and more, because we have to get joined by Adam Lundy, who is ready to connect with us. And Adam, sitting in a nice sunny room.
Yeah.
Welcome to the Sunday late afternoon show. We've still got some sunlight, but did you happen to catch any of the Fever game this afternoon?
Caught the tail end of the Fever game, but I think today's theme for today's show should just be high-scoring offenses, because we've seen it all weekend. I mean, starting on Friday night, all throughout going through today, it's been high-scoring. Whether it was East Noble, whether it was Indiana, the Hoosiers, whether it was the Colts, whether it was the Fever. 89 points is good in a WNBA playoff game, so high-scoring is the theme. Yeah. And how about Kelsey Mitchell?
Kelsey Mitchell, unbelievable. 34 points. I mean, I'll make a bold statement. Is she the best guard on the Indiana Fever roster? Healthy or unhealthy?
Wow. I don't know. That's I might still be. It's just hard because we haven't seen Caitlin Clark play in so long. I'm still probably, yeah.
Caitlin's a phenomenon. I mean, she's a rarity. She's got immense popularity. But I'll tell you, Kelsey Mitchell is doing everything. Offensively, defensively. Her ability to find teammates and be able to pass the basketball has vastly improved. I think in some ways that might be with the assistance of Coach Clark. And I'll call her Coach Clark because that's basically what she's become over the last 3-4 months of the season.
But sideline time.
But Kelsey Mitchell's improved her all-around game, finishing at the rim, the three-point shot. She's been playing unbelievable basketball. And in some ways, it's like, can Caitlin shoot the percentage that Kelsey is shooting from three right now? Can she score? I mean, Kelsey just seems to routinely hit 30-point nights. 34 in a playoff game, best of 5, game 1 on the road. That's insane.
That is insane, and I mean, like you just said, it's a best of 5 series, so, I mean, taking game 1 is absolutely huge when all you have to win is 3. I mean, that's crazy.
So the Fever get an 89-73 win over Vegas. And the most valuable ability. Okay, I got to say this properly. The most. It's one of those sentences where you have to read the sentence and then you can go back and actually emphasize it properly. The most valuable ability is availability. That comes from our buddy Rick. And of course, we would love to have you subscribe, like, comment, and share the channel. If you've tuned into the show today, we would love to have you letting the people that follow you, because if you're a sports-minded person, and that's probably why you're here, I doubt you tuned in for Adam and I's cooking lessons, which will be coming up later in the show after we log off. But if you're a sports fan, you've probably got sports fan friends. And if you have some buddies that like to watch sports, talk about sports, this is the place to congregate. We try to do this live at least once every week. The reason we do it live, because we could easily record this and throw it on an hour later. But the reason we do this live is to get some interaction and be able to respond to some of the comments. And so if you do have anything you'd like to say or comment on, we would love to hear from you. We also would like to have you as a subscriber to the channel, so when we are posting our material, you're not missing anything. If you choose to watch it, that's up to you, but we want you to be aware of the great content that we've got on this channel. And it was graded as great by, well, me, but but seriously, we
Yes.
try our best here. You know, I mean, we still feel like we have a voice and we have something to say that's valuable to people in our community, to learn more about sports, to educate themselves on what's happening in Fort Wayne, to get our opinions on some of the biggest sports stories for Northeast Indiana. And we really appreciate those of you that take time to watch this show, whether it's live or whether you catch it on the replay, because obviously it gets posted on the channel on YouTube. But today we're also on Facebook, we are on Twitter, and we appreciate all of you that might be catching us there as well. But at some point, even if you're on Facebook or Twitter, at some point, please find your way to YouTube. Look up our channel. If you have trouble finding it, it's youtube.com/@BrettRump. The name of the channel is Sports Rush with Brett Rump. And give us a subscribe, a like, because that's important for the entire algorithm. The way they measure these videos, the way they distribute them, the way they determine if anybody is worthwhile or not. There's millions of videos out there, and the only way they can measure it is by the interaction and engagement that we get. And so that's always really important. And I know a lot of people are checking it out now that we're into the football season, and just would really appreciate if you could just click that little subscribe button and become a subscriber to our channel. It really, really helps. We've added quite a few over the last couple of days with everything happening in high school football, with everything happening with IU football. But Colts win, Fever win. We'll talk more about both of those later. But also our weekend started, Adam, with another exciting Friday night of high school football. And, you know, I sat on here and I've complained for 2 weeks that all we saw was field goals. Well, East Noble and Leo got the message, because they put on an offensive show, and it was East Noble in a shootout, 56-40.
Whew, yeah, you got your wish of seeing some touchdowns. It was granted. The football genie heard you. It was a fantastic game out there in Kendallville Friday night, and what an atmosphere too. Before we even get to the game, I mean, every time we go up to Kendallville, it's just absolutely fantastic at East Noble. I mean, they have a whole just row of alumni, students, doing vending, all sorts of different.
Did you get a pork burger? Did you get one?
I didn't get a pork burger, but that's only because somebody nicely offered us chicken sandwiches, and I wasn't going to turn that down. So before I even had a chance to get a pork sandwich, I was offered something else. So very hospitable folks up there. But no, what a shootout. What a game. And I mean,
I want to go back here.
Go back.
You got chicken sandwiches. Apparently, I was in the wrong spot. I did.
You had made your way up to the booth, I
I
believe.
got offered a drink from the refrigerator in the press box. You got chicken sandwiches.
Yeah, I won't give you probably know what business chicken sandwich that they were. They're the ones
Yeah,
that usually end up at the Friday night football games. Yeah, that was nice of them to offer.
yeah. In their own little envelope packaging, and
Yeah,
yeah.
there's red and anyway, but no, I mean, and like you said, we go to the game. I mean, how about Riley Biddle throwing for 304 yards, and then just the first half alone, I mean, there was some extremely explosive plays in the air and on the ground.
Yeah, Nate Foster for Leo ran for 252 yards, and that was against an East Noble defense that spent the entire week trying to take away his big playability, and he still ran for 254 or 252 yards, has scored a couple of touchdowns. You mentioned Riley Biddle with 302 yards through the air, 2 touchdowns, and Alexander Scott was his favorite target, 8 receptions, 224 yards. And that's what we were seeing, where we were seeing plays that were breaking for 60, 70, 93 yards. We saw the run by freshman Austin Phillips, and we've got to talk about that kid.
You just want to brag about being right with your prediction, don't
Well,
you?
thanks for bringing that up. Yes,
But no, he has been fantastic.
I mean, we kind of, got word of him, and a lot of times, the fun of the high school football season is getting the new kids that we haven't seen before and seeing them break out and break onto the scene. We knew Austin Phillips was going to be a football player. We didn't know if it'd be this year, next year. We knew he would just be a freshman, but he didn't have a freshman body. I mean, a guy that's what is he, 6'2", 200 pounds, 6'1", 200 pounds. I mean, he looks like a senior, just physical and strong. And of course, he's got a brother that's 2 years older, Alex Phillips, who's a receiver on the team. And so he has watched what his brother has done to prepare for high school football, and it probably helped him prepare. But this kid as a freshman is a beast. And I happened to catch on social media yesterday that he was on a visit to Louisville. So
Wow.
already as a freshman, he's hanging out on the sideline of college football games. I said it on the broadcast. If you're a college coach and you aren't already on this kid, you're sleeping on the job, because he is dynamic. But you look at his numbers. Okay, got to go through the whole package here, because first of all, he plays both sides of the football. He was the backup running back and the starting middle linebacker, but then their starting running back got hurt, which means now he has become the starting featured running back and the middle linebacker. And he made plays both sides of the football. As a defensive player, he had a strip sack early in the game on a quarterback scramble. He stripped it. East Noble recovered, and it took them 2 plays to go 8 yards, and boom, they score. Who scored? Austin Phillips. So he not only got the strip sack, he got the touchdown from 3 yards out. Then later on a 4th down, Nate Foster gets a handoff. Leo is on a 4th down and goal. Or no, it's actually a 4th and 2 from the 4-yard line. It wasn't even and goal. 4th and 2. Leo goes into a power I formation. They hand it to the tailback. Phillips shoots a gap, gets into the backfield. Foster tries to bounce it wide, and Foster could never get to the edge because Phillips caught him from behind and took him down for a loss. That's a freshman against perhaps the area's best running back. And then he broke that 93-yard touchdown run. Had 2 sacks. He probably served team dinner. I mean, it just what a night.
Yeah, and like you said, just impressive. And like you said, he's already getting views from Louisville, so you got to get on him quickly.
So great night for East Noble. They remain unbeaten. They are number 3 in the state of Indiana in Class 4A. Leo came in ranked number 5. Haven't seen new rankings yet. But other notes from high school football on Friday. Carroll gets a big win. They put up 47 points. Gabe Freisinger continues to develop as the quarterback that was the QB in waiting behind Jimmy Sullivan and Freisinger's kind of doing his Jimmy Sullivan impersonation. 27 of 34. I mean, that's incredible. Great percentage. 27 of 34 for 363 yards and 5 touchdowns in a win over Snyder. 47-14. Jaden Van Pelt, who we saw earlier in this season, he had 13 catches for 200 yards and scored 4 of those touchdowns that were thrown by Gabe Freisinger. So a couple of great performances for Carroll. Bishop Dwenger, their defense, absolute lockdown. And defense might carry them to a Summit Athletic Conference championship. They held Homestead. Homestead, the team that's known for the spread offense. In fact, they kind of brought the spread, I think, to the Summit Athletic Conference in some ways. But they've always had that spread offense, high-powered offense. And they held Homestead. Dwenger held Homestead to 14 total yards.
That's insane. Yeah, the defense of the Dwenger is just something to be reckoned with. And like you said, all they need to do is kick field goals if their defense is that good.
Well, they did get a couple of touchdowns and a field goal. The 15-3 score was not 5 field goals. All right, we had the drama at Lewis Field where Bishop Lewis ended up beating Northside 31-28, double overtime. I picked Northside to win, so that one did cost me on my picks this week. But Brady Krause hit the game-winning field goal, a 27-yarder, just a sophomore. Jaden Rivers continues to be outstanding for Northside. The Legends quarterback threw for 296 yards and 4 touchdowns, but unfortunately came in the loss to Bishop Lewis. That could be a big game as far as trying to win the B division of the Summit Athletic Conference. South Adams continues to roll. We got a chance to talk to their coach, Grant Mosier, on the postgame show the other night. They beat Blackhawk 49-6. They've got the big one coming up this Friday, South Adams Central. South Adams seems to be on a tear right now, and Adams Central is not showing the dominance that they've shown the last 3 years. But South Adams had Titus Lehman once again, their stud quarterback, who was 11 of 17 for 272 yards and a couple of touchdowns. Bluffton gets a win over Jay County, 40-0. Axton Best, who was 13 of 15 last week, and we were bragging about his 13 for 15 performance. So he went out and went 14 for 15 this week.
Got to get those yards. Completions up, or got to get it up a little bit.
Yeah, apparently the 13 of 15 that we bragged about last week wasn't good enough.
Competing with Mendoza for the Mendoza line.
Yeah, he's been watching Mendoza. Those are Mendoza numbers. All right, let's talk Indianapolis Colts. Big win today over Tennessee. Colts kind of took control of this game from the start with a pick 6 by Kenny Moore, read the route, and Cam Ward just made a mistake. And when you make a mistake in that part of the field with that type of throw, it turns into a touchdown. Kenny Moore was there, picked it off, scored to give the Colts the early touchdown, and they kind of just rolled from there.
Yeah, that was one of the worst pick 6s I've ever seen. I think they said on the broadcast they're not sure if Cam Ward just didn't even see Kenny at all just because of the positioning of the players. But that was one of the easiest. Just grab the ball. I have a wide open path to the end zone. Here's a pick 6 to start the game. And I also thought it was hilarious. You choose to start on offense after winning the coin toss, and that's what you come out with. So
and then the other team takes the 7-0 lead.
I don't know. Yeah, let's get out on offense. Let's get Cam Ward fired up. And there's a pick 6.
Yeah. So they go on offense and still trail 7-0 after the first possession. But no, big days for a number of Colts. This Colts team, the more I think about it, the question marks we had on them have been answered. This might be a team with the best personnel. I want to challenge anybody watching right now, and we've got quite a few of you that are tuned in. I challenge you to give us a comment. Tell us the team you believe has a skill set, a group of skill players, skill position players that is better than this group of Indianapolis Colts. Jonathan Taylor is playing well. Michael Pittman, another touchdown catch today. He had 6 receptions for 73 yards. And then you've got Indiana Jones, his new nickname, apparently.
Yeah.
Indiana Jones completing 18 of 25, Well, that's somewhere in the neighborhood of 75%, 228 yards, a touchdown. And we did find out the Colts still have Rigoberto Sanchez on the roster as a punter. Actually had to use him.
Yep, they actually had to punt. So good job, Titans. You made the Colts punt for the
Yeah.
first time this season.
But
Hang the banner.
But look at the group. I mean, with Pittman, Josh Downs, Tyler Warren, and Alec Pierce.
Yeah, he had
I
some good
thought Pierce
catches.
was a bust. I thought he was a bust because he was Mr. Dropaholic. How many times did he seem to have a catch over the top or deep or, and they just drop it? And I thought, okay, I don't know what the Colts saw in him. A little bit like what I saw with A.D. Mitchell last year. And Mitchell's starting to come around. And maybe Reggie Wayne is a better coach than we've given him credit for as a wide receiver coach. I thought maybe that was just a PR move. Bring back one of the great all-time receivers for the Colts and just throw him on the staff. How much does a wide receiver coach do?
But like you said, it was good, and Pierce was good today. Some great catches, and I thought the broadcasters did a good job of mentioning he's become more than just that deep ball threat. He's been able to make some good catches just ahead of the secondary, so it's been good.
Yeah, he's been running a lot of those intermediate crossing routes. They found him where he comes underneath the safeties and crosses. But that Colts the skill group. If you've got Indiana Jones playing like this, and then you've got Pittman healthy and playing well, Alec Pierce playing well, Josh Downs, who really hasn't been utilized a whole lot so far. And I think they're still trying to figure out how do we get Downs and Tyler Warren to complement each other in the middle of the field, because they are both really big time weapons. But if you're a quarterback, who's the first guy you're going to see when you look down the middle of the field? You're going to see the guy that's 6'5", not the guy that's 5'9" or 5'10". So, I mean, this group is great. And the secondary, I mean, Mooney Ward, who I guess he doesn't go by Chavarius anymore. He's now Mooney. But he was terrific. I mean, he totally locked down on the Titans receiver. And you take one receiver out of the equation, especially if it's the other team's best receiver. Now all of a sudden you've got to have somebody step up that's not one of the prime targets. And yes, Rick mentioned, he says, I think Cam Ward showed that he's got signs of being a real problem in the future. Yes, I think he's far ahead of guys like Caleb Williams and of course Anthony Richardson, where they were at as rookies. But he's still going to make an occasional rookie mistake. Now, one of the big problems, and I don't know how much you blame the rookie for this, because, is it the timing? Is it being in sync? Is it the communication? I don't know. But somehow Tennessee's got to fix their penalty issue, because they get way too many stupid penalties.
Yeah, stupid penalties. I'll tell you what, Titans fans are not happy with Callahan. They want the coaching staff change already. They think that it just takes a better coach, and Cam Ward can show some of that promise that Rick commented about. I don't know.
Well, I thought from the Colts' perspective, their defense was really strong. Yes, they got a little soft when they got the big lead, because it was then about, I think they got into the mindset, if they're going to score, we're going to make them take time to score. Where up to that point, and we're talking about late third, early fourth quarter. Up to that point, I felt like they were thinking, we're not going to let you score. Then all of a sudden it was, well, now it really doesn't matter if you score as long as you take a lot of time in doing so. And so they started to play that soft stuff that Gus Bradley was famous for.
Yeah, unfortunately, or I guess I should say, fortunately, they kind of waited until the lead was a lot more secure, and they did take a good amount of time off the clock too. So didn't come to bite them in the butt today.
Yeah, but the Colts get a win, and now the Colts sitting 3-0, and they're sitting pretty. I mean, they're in a great spot. I mean, you look around the AFC,
I mean,
and you got to be pretty excited.
Just the AFC South alone. I mean, you get another Texans loss today. I mean, people consider the Texans to be, the favorite again in the AFC South this year, and now they're 0-3 after a loss to the Jaguars today.
Yep. So anyway, Once again, make sure while you're connected with this that you do subscribe to the channel, that you like, you comment, and you share. Let's see, got Mr. Vegas has weighed in. I want to jump over here and check the comment from Mr. Vegas. What's up with my Panthers? That's the Snyder Panthers, who got beat soundly by the Carroll Chargers. It says Carroll took them to the woodshed Friday night. Bad beat on the Rams today. So, the Rams had that big lead over Philadelphia. It looked like the Rams are going to get themselves a road win. And then all of a sudden, Philadelphia, with a huge rally late, comes back and wins. So the Eagles stay perfect.
Yeah, that blocked potential game-winning field goal taken back to the end zone. That was pretty crazy.
Yep. All right, let's go ahead. Let's talk some Purdue Fort Wayne men's basketball. It's time. The season for real gets started. And I don't know if this guy even feels like there was an off season, because now the way the college schedule is, I don't know that there really is one. But let's welcome to the program men's basketball coach from Purdue Fort Wayne, John Coffman. Coach, last evening before the season officially begins, how are you feeling?
I'm excited. I mean, you're right. I heard you with the intro. There's no off season. That's evolved over time. The last 10, 15 years where we've added time in the summer, access in the summer. That part's been awesome. The change in the recruiting has adjusted our springs, and I think it's there's some excitement about it too. I mean, I had to sort of readdress my teaching progressions this off season. With 10 newcomers, 8 are scholarship guys, and how we went about that. And so that was exciting. It's a little bit of flying the plane while we're building the plane. And so there's some excitement to that too. I really like our group. And we got, they were here on campus for about 10 weeks this summer. You're allowed 8 weeks with them. It's limited hours, but they get a lot of time together. And, we do a lot of team developing, mental performance, socialization with them. But then there's also a ton of extra work they get in with our GAs, our mental performance coach, our trainer, our strength coach, kind of outside of our, having the head coach, myself there and our staff. So excited to get going now. Now we get to really get after it. And we'll get more video involved, addressing more time to really work on ourselves.
With the new recruiting of transfers and that being such a short window where all of a sudden guys hit the portal, I know one thing that you have always done when recruiting high school athletes is you've taken a lot of time to find out about the kid, their parents, and build relationships, because that's so important to you. There's not a lot of time to do that with these transfers. What do you look for, and how do you skip the steps and still get the right guys?
I still think it's very important to make sure you're checking their backgrounds in terms of like talking to all the people around them that are their network, and just to make sure it's the right fit, because on this time around, you got to make sure that what they're looking for matches up with you. Where we've been really good, and this is sort of a 12-year evolution as me being the head coach, is early on in recruiting, I used to really just target, okay, how do I sell particularly to this recruit, and almost tell them what they want to hear to get them to like us. And now it's become we've built our brand, we've built our style of play. I know what I like to do with our team in the off season to develop them both on and off the floor. And so we're just very honest, and I mean it's a cool honest. I mean, we do a lot of great things in the off season, but those that buy what we're selling, they end up enjoying the process, and it ends up being a great match. And so some of it's taking care of itself over time. And we're very intentional with what we sell, from multiple video sessions to, we have a slideshow that we give them access, which shows them every piece and facet of our program and what we do. And so they get to know what they're getting into before they get here. So I think some of that is is us following up and checking in on them. And some of that's them checking in on us and giving them all the resources to do that. And so it happens really quickly. And then some of them, like, DeAndre, we recruit him on the front end. And so that's one to where, you recruit him on the front end. We did really get to know him. It just worked out to where, he signed with somebody else. We signed somebody else. I don't even recall what happened during that process, 3 years ago. But really, really, really important to make sure you're doing your due diligence.
Yeah, you mentioned the guys that you had relationships with before, and that's come back to pay dividends. And I think that's something too that's I don't want to say it's unique, but I think it is part of the program that you've allowed guys the opportunity to go explore other places. And I know you'd like to get them, and it's certainly that not that you're chasing them to somewhere else, but when they go somewhere else, you still maintain a really good relationship. And a couple of guys recently that come to mind with guys like Bryson Scott, others that, you had relationships with that were able to come back.
You think a lot of me, Brett, if you think that I allowed them to go look at other places. I love how you put that. Let's just call it what it is. But we missed on a few guys, or we took somebody else, or somebody else took the scholarship before they had the opportunity. But
Right.
Man, that confidence, you're always pumping my ego. I appreciate it, Brett.
Well, I'm trying to figure out the right way to put it, because it's like you don't hold bitter, or you don't hold a grudge, that you understand that there's reasons these things don't work out. And you've been able to maintain relationships, and sometimes those come back to reap rewards. I do want to ask about your summer workouts. If you go into summer, now that you've done this for, 12 years? Do you have a specific place you want to be once the summer workouts end and the season practices begin? I mean, it's almost like, do you complete, course 101 so you can move to 102 now? What does that process look like?
We do. We have sort of a base. It's our base basketball knowledge, from our power words to our stylistically what we want to do, and kind of what our our mainstays, our constants, our standards. We establish those in the summer. Now, we don't perfect them. That's impossible, at that stage. And but then also we want to make sure we've at least introduced, 75, 80% of our drill work that we're going to spend time on through the rest of the year. And that way, when we get into practice, there's less just kind of clinicking and walking. It's more of a high paced, like we're trying to, like you're playing a game, where it's quick, power words barked at them, on critiques, versus, disrupting the flow of practice. And I think that's been impactful to have really good flow and utilize and max out our timing going into this. So, what we do in the summer is typically we'd have, 1 to 2 days of sort of clinic skill work, kind of abbreviated days, and then 2 a little bit longer sessions, which we'd call practice or team workouts, where there's physical contact and they're going at each other. We've probably done the last couple of years a little bit more physical contact than we have, back 4 or 5 years ago, just due to, 3 years ago when we had, Jalen and Sheed, coming into the program, and we had some newcomers in that group after we lost Jared and Damian and that larger graduating class. That's where we did a little bit more contact, and attacked each other a little bit more physical summers. And we've kept that in our system with some of the roster movement, stuff like that. And they seem to have liked it. You're just trying to keep yourself healthy. You're trying not to, get too much over usage and banged up, in your summer, because it becomes quite a grind once you get into, September 22nd, your first official practice. When I was playing college basketball, and early on, probably my first 15 years, it was October 15th was the first time you unwrapped the balls out of the plastic, rolled them out there, and that was your start of practice.
Yeah. That's the way I remember it. It was like, that was when you had all the midnight madness and everything, because you built up to the anticipation of that big first practice. And it was the middle of October.
Yeah, Coach, I have a question for you. When you kind of come into a season, when you're going into a season, How do you balance, worked with you in past seasons, what's been successful for you in past seasons with trying new things and trying to incorporate new ideas as a coach? How do you manage to balance that? And have you seen a difference in the balance of trying new things in this new transfer portal era?
Well, it's so new, and obviously we had a new roster 3 years ago after that large group graduated, and then we had a lot of retention last year. So this is really my second real go at it where we've had a lot of movement, and so we create our standards, kind of staples, things that have been really good. It's like why change if it's really good? And we recruit to our style of play. We're going to play fast. We're going to shoot the three. We're going to create space, ball movement, player movement, spacing. We got to teach our guys how to play the game. Pace and space, and then defensively, we made an adjustment to how we defended probably 4 years ago, where we used to my staff laughs at me. We used to just kind of get in your way, and then outscore you. That was what they joke at looking back and in retrospect. That wasn't actually what happened, but we used to go under ball screens and kind of protect the rim. We still were really good at stealing the basketball because we always have put intense pressure when the ball gets to the side of the floor and load up on the ball, 5 guys on ball side. And then we've iced or down, kept the ball on the side and that sort of thing. But what we've gone to, and this kind of started when we had Damian. We started getting some small guards, Damian and Quentin Morton Robertson, and we had small guards, and we realized, once other teams start towing the arc and you're 5'8", that really puts you at disadvantage. So let's make that first catch at 30. Let's put intense pressure, whether it's when you cross half court or 94 feet as you inbound the ball. And we've maintained that, even though we don't have that 5'8" anymore at the point guard. We've maintained that because we really like that disrupt, that mentality that we've had. And so we made an adjustment a few years ago and we've kept it. I toyed with some things this offseason as well. When we played Michigan last year, they were as fast as we've played in my 26 years of kicking the ball, advancing the ball ahead, something I really take pride in wanting to do, but sometimes we're better and it hasn't necessarily had the integrity that I've wanted to do through the course of a season. There's some things that we're really good at that, from day one, I make a standard of it and we maintain it going into the end of the season. We've not been able to maintain that through a year. When we played those guys, I mean, it was really a freight train coming at you, with kick aheads. And so I asked Dusty this offseason, sitting with him and, a couple of his assistants and something they did, how did they train with that? And they trained with a 15-second shot clock. They also, they had an assistant sitting in midcourt going 1, 2, 3 turnover. If you didn't have guys occupying those corners and things that we said we wanted to be good at, but we didn't hold them to the standard quite as much. And so it sort of waned as you went through your season. And so we trained that way this summer. Now, does that mean we're trying to shoot it within 15 seconds? No, we still want to play fast, but we will try and get to the paint, which is what we call get the green light. And so it caused that first ball screen or back screen or down screen that are in our quicks. It forced us to have, great execution, or you're taking a bad shot. And for us, we say you got to touch the paint before we shoot it. That's a paint touch shot. That's where we got to get our green light. And so it's hard to get to the paint if you kind of blow off that first 7-8 seconds or that first interaction you have with your team, whether it's a back screen, a ball screen, whatever. And so we really gained like a focus on that early offense to get them on the move, to keep them on the move. I thought that was good. Now I did have some of my guys, we'll play 2-3 point guards at the time. Guys are used to having the ball in their hands, and they're looking at me like, Coach, I'm not used to just running up, touching the corner, running back. And that's what happens if you're not with the ball in your hands and you don't do something good early with your ball screen or back screen or whatever we start the possession with. So then we've kind of mixed and said, yep, I feel you. We got to do better. I want everybody to feel like, hey, we can play 3 point guards at a time at times, go really small, which we've had success at. And then make them feel like they're involved in it, where we're flipping to them, or they get the ball and they get a second ball screen. And so we've mixed in recently a little bit more of that 30-second shot clock or 20-second when it's on the sidelines out of bounds. So I gave you a little more than probably you wanted.
How much are you
That was great.
during the summer? How much are you able to determine roles for guys, or is it just about trying to learn the system, and now's the time where guys start to earn their minutes or earn their spot in a rotation, whether it be a starter or off the bench? Where are you at in that process?
Well, it's and I try to obsess with aggressive mistakes in the summer. That doesn't mean dribble, dribble, dribble. I'm not a dribble. I call turnover. We go the other way. We got to get that out of them. They got to figure out how to teach them how to get the ball happy. How to kick the ball ahead. Those are things I obsess with. But in terms of the shots, I focus on the process. I probably allow, some shots that you'd watch us in the summer and be like, Coach ain't gonna let that happen. When it comes November 3rd. But I let that go, and then we stat everything. So, I have an analytics assistant who grinds out all the video, and at the end of the summer, we have everything clipped up, and you have all your percentages from us. That mid range, that at the rim efficiency, and your 3-point efficiency, off the drive and kick, and then off the dribble, off the ball screen, all this, and so then we assess that with the players, and so they kind of determine what's efficient from them. Okay, coming into the year, that helps us sort of identify areas that they're strong at. Who might be a boomerang guy who when they catch it on the edge, they're going to swing it right back and be in the back action of the ball screen, or who's going to rip back and get to the middle, like different different stylistic opportunities in our offense. They determine that. Okay. Then also as we go through, and I listened to a great piece that Nick Saban put together. You'll probably see me retweet it this week. I'm going to give it to all my players. Just really good piece on, kind of your off season. You're determining, who is already on your bus and who maybe you either got to move off your bus, or you got to figure out, hey, this is what you got to do to really be on the bus. And the players determine who's going to be in that top 8 or not. And so that's where we've had a lot of video, a lot of play to then determine that. And so that's where over the next, kind of 2 weeks or so, probably that first exhibition, the players have determined that. I kind of have an idea. I challenge them a little bit. I had a conversation with a player about 2 weeks ago, and, I said, hey, if you go palms up and practice at me, okay, and you can't stack this detail, this detail, this detail, guess what? You're not going to be in the top 8. And Coach, I'm not in the top 8. No, you're not in the rotation right now because of this, and this. And it was a shock. And so I'm trying to give some of those shocks a little earlier so they have time to adjust some of those habits, because I want them all feeling like, hey, we get into that exhibition time. Let's go produce and see where it is. I don't need to be determining minutes right now.
Let's go real quick, kind of through the roster, because we didn't have a chance to really talk about some of the new names and players that fans are going to see perhaps for the first time. Ja'Cory Lipkins, and just a sentence or two of what you've seen from him and what you think his skill is going to be and what he brings to the Dons.
Great charisma. Kind of reminds me of Isaiah McCray with his strength coupled with his smile. All right. And you would know that. Guys who've been around the program for a while. And he can really, really shoot it. Downhill driver, sophomore, D2 transfer. And we've been really successful, with Sheed and Anthony Roberts with that transition. Was freshman of the year last year at Charleston in West Virginia.
Ibrahim Kaba.
Ibrahim is long, skilled, 6'9", very versatile, still raw in his stylistic, how he's playing the game. But man, when we corral him and he plays our game and becomes efficient with the dribble, is going to be a really, really tough matchup for us. He's that guy that can be a 5-4-3, which I don't know if we've had that type of player in the program. Really, really shoots it. Can deck it with that size. And, he's a connector through Konchar's agent, that kind of unique transfer that has not given up that year of eligibility. He was a redshirt at St. Bonaventure last year. Exciting.
Mikhail Stevenson comes home.
Great personality, great charisma, is so enthusiastic about being home, and I think really fits with how we play the game. Is an elite assist guy. Showed that at Grambling over the last couple years with his efficiency. Can play on the ball, off the ball. Strong with the basketball, similar to like Jalen was, another Fort Wayne product. But is going to get better and better and better and more efficient because he's going to have other playmakers playing with him and doesn't even have a glimpse of how good he can be as a scorer with that catch and shoot, because he's never been allowed to do that, and not allowed by his coaches, but allowed because of the players, the other talented players that can also drive and kick like him. So what you see now is really good. He was really, really good in that last scrimmage of the summer, but where he can be in February and March, if he stays laser focused on growth, could be at a high level.
We all know Chris Morgan, so we won't get into anything with Chris. We've seen him play. We know what his game is. But E.J. Mosley is an incoming freshman out of Chicago, and I know a lot of times freshmen have a tough time cracking that rotation, but he looked pretty good in the scrimmage. What do you expect from E.J.?
He's going to really challenge for minutes on the floor, both on and off the ball. Can really get in the paint, lives in the paint, makes mature plays, and is really grown through the physicality. I remember his first summer workout, and a couple guys hit him physically, just backed him up. He's guarding CJ, and all of a sudden he collected himself about 6 feet, knocked back off of his heels, and he's really bowed up to the ball game. Has added strength this summer, but is going to impact winning for us on the floor this year.
You mentioned DeAndre Craig had a really good year at Denver last year, and I know he was a pretty important get for you out of the transfer portal.
Well, we're bringing back, and you got CJ and Max, who or could score the ball last year, right around flirted with the double digits. Now you got Mikhail, and then also DeAndre, who did that. And so we have a roster that scored the ball at the Division I level. And so he did. He shot it well. He scored it well. This summer, I thought kind of coming through the summer, like, hey, kind of showed out as more of a combo off the ball, shooting the basketball, then recently has played much better with the ball in his hands. And so I think we're going to get that versatility that we recruit him to have. On the ball, off the ball, can really score the ball, shoots it at a high clip. And he also has, that sort of, Rashid Bello, quieter than you want, but just as a pro with how he operates, has this maturity about him, wants to be great, and just is consistent with what he does. Love that about him.
Last one that we're going to get to here today is, well, I guess we actually have a couple. I didn't realize I missed a couple, guys. But we do want to talk about, now I got to get back to my spot. Oh, Yuval Levin, the young man from Israel, who, again, one of those Konchar agent connections.
Well, and welcome to college basketball the next 4 to 5 years. You're going to see a huge influx of international players that, coupled with NIL and some of the adjustments, some of the rules, you're going to have some of the guys that have played, in the clubs and the professional leagues, coming into college basketball, probably more so than ever. Really skilled, sees the floor, high basketball IQ, still working through some of the language barrier, but he is super intelligent basketball wise, has played at a high level, played with Danny Wolf and Ron Zipper and the under 20 team for Israel at a high level there. Was in the Israeli army for 3 years, played in the pro league's first division Israel, where Omar Mader from Purdue
Purdue.
also played at, and Travion Williams too plays in that league. Like, he's playing against men and has done that for 2 years in a row. Was Rookie of the Year in the First Division Israel this last year. So has done well at that level. And I've seen him through the summer. Showed up late due to student visa and kind of adjusting through that, getting him cleared with the NCAA with that. And so we've seen since he's been back a huge, just like his trajectory is going like this as he's starting to make more plays, become more aggressive, and understand what we're saying. The other day we were funny, and he's got a great sense of humor. He says, "Coach, only understand about 30% of what you're telling me right now." I said, "Well, you're not going to get on the floor until you understand 100%." He says, "Coach, I just rethought that. I understand 110% of what you're saying." So right there in one conversation, we went up 80% in terms of his understanding. So I see huge growth following with that. Just got to demand more of him, right?
Well, at 30%, he's 5% ahead of me because I'm at about 25% following what you're saying. All right, so Quentin Morgan, a freshman, big kid, 6'9", and a lot of times these freshmen come in tall and wiry. They don't look like they've got a college body. He already looks like he could fit in the college game.
Well, and he's still really, really thin. But if you remember, Eric Mulder impacted as a freshman, backing up Rob Petty. I think he's in that range of where Eric was that year, where he just has a poise around the rim and he plays slow once he gets the ball in there. And whether it's offensive rebounding or finishing around the rim, like he's at a high level around there, like above his years of experience, and I think has a really bright future for us. We have a lot of depth in that space, which is exciting for us because I think we can go big and small. He helps us to go big. And when I say big, we got other 6'8". You got Max and Yuval and Kaba that can all. You're big, but they're maybe not as bangerish, in terms of that. I just create a new word. But they're a little more skilled on the perimeter. He's like an Eric Mulder, Rob Petty, dump down ball screen and roll guy who I think is going to really, really have a great career as a Macedon.
Yeah, the tall 3-4 guy that plays the 5 because he's big enough to handle it, but not necessarily a natural position. But with him, he kind of starts as a 5 and maybe develops to stretch out, but right now kind of a true 5. Another guy who's kind of a true 5, Darius Duffy, and you pick him up from a fellow Horizon League team.
Yeah, that was a little unique to me going through that one. But they had success. I mean, they've won games in Milwaukee. We got to see him. You kind of know what his level is by having watched clips. I mean, it's an easy assessment there, evaluation. He and the player, he's playing behind a really, really good player and wanted a more significant role, showed it during some injuries last year, but he's really good at what we've been good at with the Raw and Eric Mulder, with a dump down guy, ball screen and roll, rebounding, basket protector. But I never would have thought we would have lost the leading field goal percentage player in the country who shot 78% in Eric Mulder last year, to then increase that because Duffy shot 80% last year, just didn't have the minutes. I think is going to help us really protect physical, a little more substantial presence at the rim from block shots and rim protection than what we've had, and is a really good rebounder, has a great charisma, personality, just learning how to do what we do, and trying to learn that at a quick level. So I think we can be really physical at the paint, and play exactly how we have the last 3, 4, 5 years, and then we can go to Yuval and Kaba and Max and play a little bit more 5 out with 5 guys that can deck it and shoot it.
Coach, I'm going to let you go, but before I do, I'm going to bring in a surprise because we have a surprise guest who's joining us. And he, it's always nice as a broadcaster when the team takes you on a nice little ride, especially through the postseason. And I think you might recognize the person that we're bringing into the shot here. John Nolan, Fever broadcaster, joining us. John, I think you know this guy. I've got to unmute him. I'm sorry. I muted him because I was hearing let me see.
Am I good now?
There you go.
Right,
I think we've got you
around the horn getting muted. Well, yeah, apologies. I was planning to be at the first Don's practice tomorrow, but the Fever have gone on this run here, Vegas style, and out here in Vegas for WNBA semifinals.
Hey, John, I got to share this with you in person a couple weeks ago when I went and watched you, and then you were broadcasting. I guess I don't know if you broadcast against somebody, but the Fever were playing the Sky and David Simon, but got to connect after the game, and I'm sitting there with the Coffman clan, and we're so proud. It's really cool watching. You cut your teeth with the Dons and the tin caps, and to watch you really show out at the highest level. It's been awesome, man. Proud of you.
Yeah, thanks. No, and it's been extra cool during this rookie season in the W for me to see David Simon with Chicago, to see Carl Smesko, former Dons women's basketball head coach. He was a candidate for Coach of the Year with Atlanta, although the Fever got by him, So, I of course appreciate all the experiences I've had with the Dons, and looking forward to still being involved here this coming year.
All right, Coach, I'm going to let you go. Appreciate you as always. Best of luck this season, and we'll see you after practice, right after practice tomorrow.
All right, sounds good.
All right. That is Coach John Coffman joining us here on the Sports Rush, and some way I think I can actually remove him from the scene. There we go.
I should have known that when you guys gave me a time to talk after Coach Coffman, that it probably wasn't going to be the time scheduled, especially with this new format. At least in the past, you guys sometimes could kind of just, play him off with a commercial break. But now part of the fun here of streaming is that you can't use that excuse. You guys got to get more creative.
Yeah, I know. I can't tell him that we're up against the clock. He knows there's not one. John, speaking of the clock, game's a couple hours passed, and it looks like, are you still at the arena?
I am still inside the Michelob Ultra Arena, yes. I might be the last one in here besides the cleaning crew.
What a win. What a great win to have a fairly quick turnaround and have to travel back from Atlanta after a dramatic, emotional win in Game 3 against the Dream, and then turn around and fly in and fly out almost virtually the same day and be prepared to take on Vegas.
Yeah, it was like 13 hours or so on the ground in Indy between series. And I would say to some degree I'm in disbelief, but I probably shouldn't anymore because this team has just consistently throughout the year surpassed what anyone would expect from them. And that definitely continued here today. So in case anyone missed it, I know obviously the game was crossing over with the Colts there for a while. And pregame, A'ja Wilson was awarded as the league MVP for a record fourth time, but it was the Fever who figuratively threw the first punch, got up 19-10 late in the first quarter. That said, between late first quarter, early second quarter, Vegas had a 13-0 run. So, again, you're kind of just waiting for all right, Vegas, which has won 18 of 19 games entering, you're just anticipating that they would sort of do what they've done to everybody around the league for the last nearly 2 months. But Wilson, uncharacteristically, while she did have a double-double, I mean, she is such a unique talent that here she had 16 and 12, and objectively you'd have to say she had a bad game because she was inefficient, shot 6 of 22. And then on the flip side, Kelsey Mitchell, who finished fifth in the MVP voting, amazing. And again, I should be better as a broadcaster of having a full arsenal of ways to describe how incredible she's playing and seeing her make so many shots. But yet I was almost out of words by the end. 34 points, second most ever for a Fever player in a playoff game, only 4 off of her career high from the regular season. And so, to see her continue to rise to the moment here in these crucial situations with plenty of help, Natasha Howard, a double-double. Aaliyah Boston wound up a little bit short scoring-wise of double-double, but, give credit to her for the inefficiency of Asia Wilson in this game. So just another great game for the Fever.
That surprised me too. Vegas, because of their lineup, it kind of forces Boston onto Wilson. But throughout the year, it seems like the trend has been for the Fever to put Natasha Howard on the best big scorer. Whether that's a forward or a big. And Aaliyah Boston gets the assignment of Asia Wilson, which is a real challenge for her because she's more of a traditional post, and she's having to guard a little bit on the perimeter against Wilson and does a heck of a job. What's the key?
Yeah, well, as it was in this game, and it'll be interesting to see, with Becky Hammond being an outstanding coach as well for Vegas, what kind of adjustments are made. But Wilson, who, she came along this year as far as an outside shooter. She only took 1 3 in this game. It was pretty early. She missed it. So she took a lot of shots around the paint, around the foul line. But Boston was up to the task, had help at times from Howard. Brianna Turner continues to be a pretty great story for the Fever, was really not in the rotation for the first half, 3/4 of the season, and now late regular season and in crunch time in the playoffs. She's been a huge presence. And team effort, of course. And especially because there was a point in the first half, in case, again, someone was watching the Colts, Boston picked up 2 fouls relatively quickly. So she was somewhat limited in her minutes in the first half, and that's where it was Howard and Turner who really picked it up on defense against Wilson.
Yeah, John, I was actually just going to ask what were some of the keys to holding the now MVP to a light performance, especially at home, Las Vegas atmosphere, cheering on the newly crowned MVP. And what do you expect any adjustments to make by the Aces for Game 2?
Yeah, I know Becky Hammond aptly said after the game, Asia Wilson's the kind of player who doesn't usually have 2 uncharacteristic performances in a row. So certainly they're going to be a desperate team on Tuesday night before the series will be shifting to Indy for Game 3 on Friday. Fever fans give them a bit of an X factor advantage. So it'll be interesting to see how they, to one degree, just some of the shots that Asia Wilson missed. Yeah, she's not going to routinely miss near the rim. So you kind of anticipate that probably just being the biggest adjustment, is that the ball is going to bounce her way a little bit more next time out. That said, the Fever didn't play a perfect game, only made 5 threes. They average 8 or 9 threes a game. All in all, for the Fever, they just keep finding ways and finding even different styles at times, getting contributions all around.
By the way, you mentioned Brianna Turner and her role with this team, which has drastically changed here in the playoffs versus most of the regular season. And I think she's been a real key. She's been a delightful bright spot. And we've become accustomed to some of the Fever players that step in that we've never seen on the court before, playing well and handling their roles. But I thought she's been exceptional.
Yeah, sure has. And, her role really is about providing defense, and her versatility of, well, in this case, largely matching up against Asia Wilson. At times, she is capable of getting, you can switch with her on defense, and she can get down in a stance and contain speedy guards too. So, that's really her strength, and then rebounding too. But today it wound up being a season high for her with 6 points, chipping in that way too, just finishing around the rim. So, talked about it on our Fever Radio broadcast, but for anyone not familiar with the story, it's definitely one that you want to share with younger athletes, especially in this day and age where it's become so common that if you don't get playing time, you sulk, and depending on where you are, you try to transfer out or whatever. Heck, we even saw someone on this Fever team this year kind of ship out mid-season, but not Brianna, who, to her credit, even when the playing time wasn't there, I think she was leading the team in community appearances and was a great teammate in the locker room. And so, it helps everyone's spirits when someone who's just been a good teammate throughout now gets a bit of the spotlight and thrives too.
What's the expectation for Dantas going through the concussion protocol? Is it still a daily thing? Has she started any work at all?
Yeah, in this situation, she actually did not travel to Las Vegas. She had been with the team in Atlanta previously, but did not travel to Las Vegas. So apparently was not progressing well in the concussion protocol. And I'm definitely not a scientist or a doctor here to know, but I have heard over the years that sometimes travel, can maybe not slow down that progression. So they opted to have her not travel for today's game. Don't know the status for Tuesday, but still continuing to be shorthanded.
All right, the online rumors, I'll let you deal with them because everybody's like, Caitlin's practicing. She's starting to try to get prepared. She's done, right? They can't
Yeah.
they bring her back, even theoretically bring her back. I don't know what the
Yeah, I mean, technically, like from a roster eligibility standpoint, I think it would be legal, but she's done. And I mean, I could tell you that, and the team had practice yesterday. She wasn't involved, and not because it's like a regression in her rehab, but just because like she's not going to play here in these playoffs, even if they do keep going.
clickbait. It's all clickbait. That's what everything is out there now. John, you're doing a great job. How, by the way, how are things playing out there in Vegas? If you had a chance,
yeah, the afternoon game. This was a noon start here, so have not had a chance to take your advice inside the casino, but vibes are going well right now. Fever are playing with house money. I don't necessarily have house money, but we'll try to find some time to get there here since we're here through Tuesday.
what's it say about me that I'm the advisor for casino play? I don't know that. I mean, I feel like such a low life delinquent. It's like, if anybody's going to gamble his money away, we'll ask Brett what he'll do with it.
Number crunching's a talent and a skill, and so that's a good one to have in the bag.
All right, what's the key to game 2 coming up Tuesday night? Have you kind of thought about this? What do you expect as far as what we'll see from these two teams Tuesday?
Yeah, so I mean, just taking a step back, it's going to be human nature in like any series situation like this, where I think if you're Indiana, your mindset to some degree was we got to get one of these two on the road. So I think what the Fever are going to be battling to some degree on Tuesday night is not having that complacency. They've been playing with such an edge. Again, last series they lost the first game at Atlanta, and that was the best of 3. So they were coming off 2 elimination games, and more or less the late regular season games had a lot of pressure just to clinch a playoff spot and proceeding. And so all of a sudden Tuesday is going to be a situation they haven't been in a while, where they still have like the no pressure, which is good, but how do you maintain your edge in that case? Because on the flip side, Vegas, again, they're obviously going to very much so have a chip on their shoulder and being desperate to avoid going down 2-0 and having to go on the road. So I think just sort of the challenge for the Fever is to maintain their edge, continue what they've been doing, winning 50-50 balls and such. And then again, you need to be braced for the fact that Asia Wilson's going to be more efficient than she was in this game here tonight. And that, Kelsey Mitchell, who went 4 of 6 from 3, numbers probably, that's just tough to sustain. So, I think you find it for the Fever, one area you can still tap into more is figuring out a way to get Aaliyah Boston more points, more shots. She was 3 of 9 from the field, 6 points, did not get to attempt a free throw in this game. Lexi Hull only got 3 threes off. She made 1. So, a couple of players right there who still have something that they could contribute more of offensively.
Well, John, we better let you go because they're going to turn the lights out on you, and you might be locked in the arena if you don't get out of there pretty soon. But I appreciate you hanging around a little later than you probably would normally be there and hang and talk with us. We'll tune into the call now. For those of us in the Fort Wayne area, obviously we can't get it through the actual big stick in the air, but we can stream it. And where's it going to be Tuesday? Do you know?
Yep. Yeah. So Tuesday night. So will be a 9:30 game, Fort Wayne time, pregame starting at 9:15, and it'll be streaming on the Fan down in Indy. So that's 1075thefan.com. You can also download the Fever app for free, official Indiana Fever app, and that links you to the Fan's website. So yeah, free to listen. So later game out in the Pacific time zone. So I don't want to encourage you to listen to like fall asleep, but I don't want to keep you up later than you need, but it'd be fun if you can tune in because it is a great group, very likable, and definitely representing the state well right now.
Oh, absolutely. And I mean, it's the kind of team you can't help but love to see a bunch of, I don't know if vagabonds is the right word, but, players that were all over in European leagues and out of basketball that have been molded together, and they've all fought for a common cause. And it's something I think we all as Hoosiers can get behind. So it's been a lot of fun to watch this success that they've had.
Definitely. Well, yeah, so I'm going to keep enjoying it while I can. And then at some point, it's going to come to an end, and I look forward to seeing you guys back in the fort soon, too.
You got tickets for next Friday?
Tickets for next Friday at the field house. To be honest, again, as I said earlier, unfortunately, it's not quite as easy to get access to like it was at Parkview Field or over at the Coliseum. So I'm just gonna say sorry, but hey, tune in and listen.
Yeah. Hey, thanks, John. Appreciate you. All right, have a great one. Appreciate you so much. That is John Nolan joining us here on the Sports Rush, live from Las Vegas.
That's awesome. That was great.
Yeah, it was cool. All right, well, that will do it for another edition of the Live Sports Rush. What have you got on your big calendar this week? It's like, what do you do now?
Nothing.
The season's done. I mean, you just wait till next Friday. What do you got going on?
Let's see. Not much.
You're waiting till next Friday.
Yep, ready for Friday at Homestead.
And and of course our Sunday night that we spend some time together. It's a long edition. Long one tonight.
Yeah, good guests, good stuff, a lot to talk about.
All right, so make sure you subscribe before you leave. Make sure you connect with us, whether it's a like, a share, or even dropping us a comment. We always appreciate those. We try to get on here live at least once every week, and during the week, plenty of different videos. I know I had a couple of IU videos. IU. Well, how about those Hoosiers?
Barely even got to talk about them, but yeah, just I think they look like a top 6-7 team in the nation now after that win. My goodness, maybe top 5.
They're number 11 this week, and this is where I'm going to start my rant. I was just about finished, but I'm going to start my rant.
All right, go quick.
Preseason polls are so useless because, first of all, they underrated Indiana on the preseason poll. And as a result, even if Indiana is successful, they can't jump into their proper slot. That is right now a top 5 or 6 team in the country. You cannot deny it. The way they have played and performed and the showing that they just had at home last night. If you weigh them against everybody else and how they've played and performed, it's not like Texas is crushing people. Indiana is a top 5 or 6 team. They're definitely a top 10 team, and they still are only number 11.
Underranked. Leave them underranked. Give them motivation. Why not?
And, it's just crazy because you have to work your way up from the spot that's been predetermined with a lack of actual research or basis. I hate preseason polls. Polls should not come out until the 3rd or 4th week. Let the fans debate it on social media. But anyway, all right.
There's your rant. All right,
over. All right. We will make Adam disappear. All right. See you, Adam. Thanks, man. That will do it for our show today. Once again, we appreciate you. If you have subscribed, make sure you do so on YouTube and like, share, and leave your comments. We hope to see you again in another video soon. Have a great week.